yoga and other details. The idea is I am requesting each of you presenters to introduce yourself first and then start with your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Jayasudha. I stay in Colorado Springs. I practice Hatha Yoga. So let's begin with the origins of yoga. So what do you think is the origin of yoga? How old is yoga? Anyone?
Thousands of years.
Pardon?
Thousands of years.
Yeah, thousands of years. Anyone else? How old do you think is the practice of yoga?
More than 5,000.
Yes. So yoga is an ancient practice and it originated in India over 5,000 years ago. And the root word for yoga is yuj, which means to bring union or to unite or to concentrate. So what are we bringing unity of? What are we referring to when we say we should concentrate? So what is the union being referred to here?
Soul and God.
What?
Soul and God.
Soul and God.
Body and soul. As well as body and soul.
Okay, body and soul. Body and mind. Yes, we want to bring the union between the experiential reality and the universal reality of nature. We can study the evolution of yoga in 4 different time periods. And this is basically, I have made my study from facts from India. So 4 different time periods are prehistoric period of yoga, which is time period between 4500 BC to 500 BC. And classical period of yoga, which is between 500 BC to 800 AD. And the post-classical period of yoga, which is between 800 AD to 1700 AD, and the modern yoga, which is from 1700 AD until now. So now let's first discuss the pre-classical period of yoga, which is between 4500 BC to 500 BC. So the people of ancient India were very inquisitive and they want to discover something beyond the survival and materialistic needs of life. They always were inquisitive and doing meditation to gather what is beyond life, to philosophically debate the nature of life. So this gave birth to rich philosophical scriptures of India, and they are shruthis and smrithis. So what are shruti and smriti? Shruti means that which is heard or sung or recited, and they are apaurushaya, which means they are not of human intellect. They are not written or produced by any human being. They are the sacred sounds heard by the ancient sages in deep meditative states. So what are these shrutis? They are Vedas. So we have 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda. And the Vedas again are divided into 4 categories, which are Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Samhita and Upanishads. The philosophical nature of life, the evolution of life and universe are extensively detailed in Vedas and they are discussed in the Upanishads. So if we look for the instances of yoga in Vedas, we find in Keshin Sutta of Rig Veda, we have the importance of prana and the control of prana and its benefits mentioned. Also Katha Upanishad mentions the first word yoga. And then Shvetavashtara Upanishad has many postures resembling the yogic asanas. Now next we will discover what is smriti. Smriti means which is based on memory, which means they are produced of human intellect. Some great human beings wrote these smritis for future generations. So what are the texts that belong to smritis? They are our itihasas like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Upapuranas, Upavedas and the Shad Darshanas of Indian philosophy. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga and Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. So we look for the instances of yoga in the Smriti texts. For example, if we take Ramayana and Mahabharata. So Ramayana emphasizes enormously on self-discipline and self-control of an ideal human being, how a human being should live. So these come closely associated with yamas and niyamas. Next, Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a text which describes the cause and effect of life, that is the nature of karma. And Bhagavad Gita, which is the jewel of Mahabharata, emphasizes 4 forms of yoga: Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Raja Yoga. Towards the end of pre-classical period, around 600 BC, Maharshi Kapila propagated the Sankhya philosophy. Here he discusses the dualistic nature of life. Now next we will discuss the classical period of yoga. Around 250 BC, Maharshi Patanjali propagated the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which are the foundations of yoga philosophy. He compiled the rich Vedic knowledge from the Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, and he included the Sankhya philosophy and compiled all this knowledge into 195 sutras known as Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So he defined yoga is restraint or cessation of the modifications of the mind. And to achieve this, he laid out 8-fold path known as Ashtanga Marga. So what is this Ashtanga Marga? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. He emphasized one needs to restrain his mind to achieve a state of enlightenment. After Maharshi Patanjali, Vyasa Bhashya was written by Maharshi Vyasa, which are the commentaries on Yoga Sutras. It is with the help of these commentaries that we are able to interpret these Yoga Sutras. Without the commentary of Vyasa, these sutras would have remained very cryptic and abstract. So after Maharshi Patanjali, post-classical period of yoga started, during which many great gurus and acharyas interpreted yoga based on their own way and the current social situations that existed in India. The period between 500 AD to 1100 AD is called the Renaissance period of Vedanta. Because during this time, great acharyas like Gaudapadacharya and Govindapadacharya produced a great master, Sri Adi Shankara, who walked the breadth and length of country to revoke and reinstill the faith of Advaita Vedanta on the common masses of India. He told to the importance to look within, and he told not to follow the common rituals as a means to attain self-realization. He emphasized the need of devotion and emphasized the need of Advaita Vedanta, where the reality outside and within you are not two different things, but they are the same. So after this period, there came the period where the Mughals were conquesting in India, and this gave rise to loss of temple, lineages, and the Guru Shishya Parampara of oral traditions. So during this time, all the traditions, whatever was followed, were completely lost and destroyed. But this time, Bhakti rose prominence across various parts of the country. Indian continent witnessed the teachings of great acharyas like Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya, and Bhakti movement rose to prominence starting from southern parts of the country and rose to northern parts under the teachings of Tulsidasa, Purandaradasa, Suradasa, and Mirabai. So Bhakti as an emotion, which was emphasized in Bhagavad Gita, grew great importance, where the surrender to the divine was the ultimate reality. After this time, the Tantra traditions and the Hatha Yoga traditions started to decline, but the Tantra techniques were written in the form of scriptures, which gave rise to Hatha Yoga practices. So Hatha Yoga practices, which originally evolved from Tantra traditions, was associated with the teachings of Gorakhnath and his teacher Matsyendranath, who gave rise to Nath Sampradaya. So during this time, around 14th, 15th, 16th century, lot of tantric texts on Hatha Yoga began to appear. They are Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Shiva Samhita, and Vedanta Samhita. If you observe closely these texts, they have lot of emphasis on nadis, bindu, mudras, prana, kundalini and chakra, which all was originally inherited from the Tantra tradition. So now let's come into the modern period of yoga, which starts from after 1700s. So during late 1800s and 1900s, yoga masters began traveling to the west, spreading yoga and attracting followers. So yoga was brought to the west by Swami Vivekananda by his historic speech at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. He instantly captured the attention of the audience with his lectures on yoga and the universality of the world's religions. After Swami Vivekananda, around this time, there was a sage, Kapala Purandaka, who wrote a text, Hathabhyasa Paddhati. Now, this text was imported to Sri Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, who is known as the father of modern yoga. Krishnamacharya combined the Hatha Yoga techniques, the wrestling techniques, and the Western gymnastics, and created a new form of practice called Vinyasa Krama Yoga, where one pose easily flowed into the next with the control of breath. Also, he produced three great disciples, V.K.S. Iyengar, T.K.V. Desikachar, and Pattabi Jois, who carried his legacy throughout India and outside India, and yoga started spreading everywhere outside India. Also, around the same time, there was another great teacher, Sri Yogendra, who started the first yoga institute of the world, which is the oldest organized yoga center in the world. He instilled and promoted the physical health benefits of practicing yogic asanas. Although yoga today is practiced by millions of people for its physical benefits, yoga was originally an ascetic practice. It's popularly identified as a physical exercise today. But yoga is not just physical exercise, it is a means to achieve or know your own self. In the words of Maharishi Patanjali, Yoga chitta vritti nirodha tada drishta swarupe vastana, which means when one attains control over the activities of his mind, then he realizes his true self. So yoga is a tool to go beyond one's survival and materialistic needs and explore one's true potential. So let's imbibe yoga in all walks of our life. Atha Yoga Anushasanam, and now the self-discipline of yoga. Thank you.